Hi everybody, welcome to this council conversation with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with John Argo, candidate for Ward 2. John, welcome. We're excited to have you with us
I'm
today.
excited to be here. Thank you for having this.
You bet. Well, I've just got a few questions to run through and we look forward to hearing your answers. So let's jump right into it.
Okay.
So first off, what should the City Council do to boost economic development and quality job creation and retention?
The thing I'm mainly stressing is my background has been in helping businesses open and stay open through the metalwork business, but I've worked on probably $50 million worth of businesses over the last 50 years. And so they all are different and they all have different needs and wants and stuff like that. So I'm stressing what I'd like to bring the conversation together with the businesses and the city to streamline the process of opening a business, make it more friendly, more streamlined, whatever you can do to, I'd like to see the city inspector go try to build it for a day and the guy that's building it go be an inspector for a day and just say, hey, this is what I deal with, from my side of the spectrum. Just let each other know we get in the same room and let's work this out. So you got that, if you can make that more friendly, and then you find a way to make sure the businesses are more supported by the community. I live in Ward 2, and we have a lot of businesses in Ward 2, and so I've stressed I want to do a taste of Ward 2, I call it, where you have like the Hollywood Shopping Center or up in the Hobby Lobby, and you have like a get-together where people come and businesses show off who they are. It's like the Taste of Norman, only like for Ward 2. And we've got monopoly on middle schools. So we have our choirs, our pep clubs, and the bands there. And then we got a barbecue cook-off, a car. I mean, you bring the community together. And so once we got small steps. Norman's, kind of divided right now. We get it together, then we can start building businesses. But I'm kind of in the background of the manufacturing, so I want to work with the manufacturing group of bringing businesses in, because that's where I started out in Norman, and early was the manufacturing industry, and so I know what they go through, and so I'm open for anything, and nothing's off the table. So okay. I think you have to bring the community to know what all businesses are there before you can start really supporting them.
Okay, very good. Well, as you know, in the summer of 2020, our city council voted to reduce 9 police positions. We currently are staffed at 162 officers. We're authorized at 171 officers, and the voters have twice approved the public safety sales tax to achieve a total of 189 officers. So, with that being the case, how do you propose to get us to a fully staffed department as approved by the voters of the city of Norman?
I was there during both of those council meetings, and I emailed the city attorney afterwards. I said, this isn't the way to run a city. And it's, okay, you have the votes, and you want, forget the first one that was, the Supreme Court said was illegal, and go to the second one. Later on, they came back and they did vote to move the money out, legally. And so if you have the votes, why have 150 people come in and start making the police look like the terror of the world, And I was standing next to a lady out in the atrium, and she had a husband and a son that were policemen, and she was from OU, so she couldn't come inside, couldn't be around groups because it was during the COVID mask deal, and she had a tear in her eye and a scar in her heart that'll never go away. I said, why is this necessary? Why are we doing this? Because when they left there, I asked people, I said, OU loses a football game, you can tell me who dropped a pass, who missed a tackle. You can't tell me one policeman that's done anything wrong. So that's what I'm saying, why go through this? Because I could do the same thing with the hospital and the public schools. You want people down there complaining. That's not how you run a government. So you've got to get back to where people actually want to work together to support the police. We'll find a way to get them. You know what I mean? But you've got to get people in there that are willing. I'm the candidate that's willing to work with the police. For the next 2 years, if I'm elected, I assure you I will work with the police, not against them. So how we get there, we're going to get there, but I can't guarantee you how that's going to be. We're going to get there if I'm in.
Very good. So next up is the council has discussed business registration fees, utility connection fees, and other fees on businesses. What are your thoughts on these fees and your stance in general on business fees?
Well, I'd have to say that I'd get with all the business owners is what I would do, and just see do they think it's beneficial? And I mean, you got to have money. You got to run the city, So we just sit down and put it on paper and say, is it something we want to support? Is this where we want to get our money from? And this is what's necessary. I'm not against, nobody's against paying more taxes if they know they're going to get used properly. I don't know anybody. Oh yeah, if it's going to help, but you see so much wasted. And so if the city can prove that this is a good thing and this is how it's going to work and explained right, and it's a benefit for the city, I'm not against anything. But anything that's going to hinder our businesses are not in real good shape right now. They've been bashed, and even with the COVID, you get to start talking about PPE and stuff around these restaurants. They've been beat down so much and spent so much and then lost so much. It's so hard on them. And this is their lives. This is what people do. They sink their efforts and lives. And I don't know if you've ever been a business owner. I know you have, but if anybody's been, it's not easy. You work when others are sleeping. You work when others are eating. You get paid last, And people used to tell me, said, "Are you making any money?" I said, "I've made a lot more money than I'll ever collect." And that's the best way you can explain being in business for yourself. But it's a hard life, and you need to appreciate it before you start putting extra burdens on them.
Absolutely. This next question has to do particularly focused on young professionals. The Chamber is really excited and honored to partner with Norman Next, our community's premier young professional organization. And so many of today's jobs are not static. People have choices where they can work and where they can raise a family. So what's your plan to provide a quality of life that is second to none so that Norman can retain its current workforce and attract new talent?
Well, attracting new talent, you're going to have to bring people into OU, and nobody's going to come to OU if their streets aren't safe and their houses aren't safe. So, I mean, that's back to what I'm saying. You've got to get the police where they're protecting the city, and they know that you've got their back and they've got your back, and that's number one. And then as far as the different professionals, where I'm more in the manufacturing, the tech age, I'm not as up on. In fact, when I first started texting people, I was slow getting into that. Since I'm a welder, I would write something with chalk on a deal, and I'd take a picture and send it to them, the picture. So I'm not the world's best technology guy, but I can Google as good as anybody. But so that area, I would have to rely on other experts to say who's coming in and how to keep them here. But manufacturing, I can help there. So I wouldn't know as much about the tech manufacturing, but just as far as manufacturing in general, like assembly lines and setting up that, I've worked with some pretty big heavy hitters on that. So I think I would be of value in that area.
Okay, very good. I would go as far as to say that I think your precision manufacturing is pretty special, that a lot of younger generation would be impressed of your skills. So don't worry about that. But okay, so we've talked about some other issues, some big issues. You may have already mentioned this, but just in case, what do you believe is the biggest issue facing our community today, and what are your plans to address it? You may have already mentioned it, but just in case.
The number one issue, people talk the police, the homeless. The number one issue is we're just divided. We have to figure out something we can collectively agree upon to come back together to say, I filled out a form the other night, and I said I want to turn everybody from Facebook foes into neighbors with different opinions. And that's basically what it is. We just, some people, you could suggest something to them, and then somebody else suggests the same thing, and they would like it just because we're that divided. And that's wrong. You got to have something. You got to say it's good for Norman, and everybody get together and say, well, I can't have everything, and I don't have everything. So if we can just get divided, and that's the reason I'm running, because I think I can pull the group that doesn't like them over here. You've got Unite Norman, you've got We Are Norman, and a lot of people don't like, but all those people, there's people in the middle of both of those groups on this edge that like each other or friends with each. I'm friend with both sides, So there's good people on both sides, but it's that whole divisiveness that's keeping us apart. And I think we can agree on the police issue, and it's a start where we can come together. If we can't do that, you saw what happened to the bond issues, And it wasn't that the people didn't want it. They just said, we're tired of this government. We don't, and so if you can't do that, how do you move forward? You can't even pass a bond. So I think if we can't come together with at least a group that says, I'm working with the police, but it's working to make Norman a better community, however it takes, you know, and that's where I'm coming in from. If we can solve that, you can work on this others, because, you know, it's like they talk watershed out there, you know, 2020, 25 plan, you know, and we're going to get this. And I said, there may not be anybody living here by 2025. We don't keep police. You know, it all falls apart. My family's been here since 1935. That's 6 generations of my family's been protected by the Norman Police and Fire Department. You know, that's a pretty incredible statement, you know, and so I'm supportive of them. You know, that doesn't mean I won't call them out, you know. So I mean, if they've got a problem, fix it. You know what I mean? I shouldn't even have to tell you. You know, if somebody complains, take care of it. So that's where I'm coming from.
Very good. Hey, we've run through our questions right on time, but as we wrap things up, do you have anything else you want to share with the Chamber membership?
Well, I'd like to share with the Chamber. I'm pro-business and I'm pro-police. You cannot be pro-business without being pro-police, because they just won't come here. They won't stay here if their businesses aren't safe, you know. We got to work on the homeless deal. It's causing some problems with certain, you know, I work downtown Oklahoma City, and I've got friends that, you know, we're having to do a lot of stuff to end up cleaning up where that homeless, you know, and so it's a problem. And I mean, if we don't get this problem solved where we all work together, we're going to all be homeless before too long, because you can't boycott each other's businesses. That's number one thing. And I complained about this last year. You know, I'm pro-business and I don't care. You know, 50 years I've been doing metal work for people in Norman, Oklahoma, and not once in that 50 years did I say, oh, by the way, what is your political beliefs before I start? You don't do that. The job is hard enough to do without bringing that into it. So leave it away, you know, and just be friends, you know, and get where you can. If you have a difference in opinion, say, you know, I'm not, you know, I can't get there from here. But if you can get here, let's meet in the middle and say, let's make a better community where parents come to OU and the students are telling people, you know, there's a guy in Ward 2, this John Argo, he's going to keep the businesses open for us, and he's going to keep the streets safe for us. In Ward 2, you know, this is how you get into Norman. Ward 2 has 4 exits off of I-35. We've got more schools, we got more car lots, we got more everything than most towns in Oklahoma, just in our ward. And we ought to be proud of that, and we ought to be building on that. We ought to find every way in the world we keep the doors open. You start getting boarded up doors up and down Lindsay Street, you got a problem. You know, and so the business owners work with me and like me and support me, and I've helped, you know, build them over the years. I've worked with OU, keeping fraternity houses safe, you know, and sorority houses. We came in there, they said we have to have a fire escape. Well, it's an old existing building, so it's not going to meet code. No matter what you do, it's not going to be perfect. So I'd work with the fire department, I'd work with a sorority or fraternity house board and stuff, and I could do it at a budget with the way they want. The fire department, we go up there and say, we'll go here. No plans, we just made it work, and they're still using them. You know, so that's what I'm saying. You working with people is better than working for them. And I've just found that out over the 50 years. And it's the same way with the police. You know, if they know you're working with them, they'll work better for you.
Very good.
I don't know. I appreciate what you've done, though.
No, you're too kind. Well, as we wrap things up, if people have questions, they want to get in touch with you, your campaign, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Well, I'm on Argo for Ward 2 on Facebook. I don't have a website because I'm not that sharp, you know, and but I've got my brochure here, and it has John Argo Senior at yahoo.com, and you can contact me that way. And and then you can go online to the League of Women Voters, have a survey. I just finished filling that out, and then the Red Earth group has one, and I filled that out for them. I try to fill out every survey I can, you know, and I put time into it. Some people just scribble some. You know, the one last night I did for the league, you know, they were asking about transportation, you know, how we're concerned about that. And I told them, you know, you got to get more of the community involved, you know, and so if you're going to raise the price, you know, and more taxes for that transportation, more of the community has to be involved. And so do we have time for a pet peeve?
Sure.
Okay, Ward 2, we've got a terrible problem around Whittier and Alcott twice a day. It's just twice a day, and the traffic backs up in there. So I proposed, I said, maybe the school, and people say, well, no, that's a school issue, and you're running for the city. I said, no, it isn't. It's out in the street, you know, and there's also an issue with Whittier is part city and part public school, because you have your recreation center there. And so why could we not, all these 50 cars that are backed up causing a problem? You can't even get in and out of the neighborhood for a while. So now you got a dangerous problem. Why can't we take that and find who will out of that group that doesn't want to sit there and run their car all that time? Maybe they'd like to sit up in the Hobby Lobby parking lot. And now we run a little bus shuttle out of there that goes up there and drops. They do it in Tulsa. You know, we can do it here. You run 20, 30, 40 kids, that's 40 cars gone. And so maybe they can carpool up there. So now you don't have to, you know, so you've got this going on, and maybe the mom, instead of sitting in that line, she can all of a sudden shop at Hobby Lobby. The kid's hungry when it gets out, she's already got his sandwich waiting for him from Chick-fil-A. I mean, there's so many options here that make sense. And what I was saying with the public transportation, maybe we run a city bus out of that school at 3:30 or whenever it is. We just take it out of the loop for this 1 hour, then it goes back to its regular scheduled deal. It runs those deals. A teacher gets on that bus, make sure the bus driver isn't getting hassled, runs them up there, drops them off, comes back, and then it goes back in the loop. How much can that cost? Nothing. You know what I mean? And look at the impact that it saved. And this isn't just a Ward 2 problem, because all those people are coming in out of other wards dropping their kids. And you tell them, hey, what if you didn't have to sit there for an hour, you know, and just sit there and watch bumpers for an hour, you know?
I've been in that line. I like the idea of a Chick-fil-A sandwich a lot better than sitting in that line. So.
But you know, and you do the same thing for Alcott with dropping them off in a Hollywood shopping. I mean, my kids are all, you know, we raised 3 kids and they're through, and so, but that's the reason we live where we do, because it was right in the middle of schools. They went to Jackson, they went to Whittier, they went to West, and then went to Norman High. So that's the only place in Norman you can live that's like that.
Right.
And we moved there just specifically for that. So, I mean, I'm just the idea guy, and I know, and I got connections, but you need to talk to the people like you that were in line that says, yes, I would support that. Mm-hmm. And so they get with the bus deal, and so then my other deal was on the bus transportation is they said that they go out and pick up a lot of wheelchair patients and stuff with the public transportation. I said, you know, if we're going to do that, one of the council members had said something about making smaller units or something like that. I said, why don't we just design something that'll hold, it opens up in the back and about 2 wheelchairs and a couple of family members could get in. It opens up, they wheel in, it closes, and the guy drives them wherever they're going, bang, bang. And I said, don't just do that. We design it, we invent it, and we manufacture it here with the help of OU. So now we're manufacturing it, we're selling it to other towns, we're involving the homeless and the handicapped on helping building it, so government funds are coming in all over the place. And if you need to test them, well, you test them for a couple of years, you loan them to the city for free. Now you really got to reduce cost. You know, the operation's endless, you know, that you could do with this if you just decide, we can work together and we can do this. We got all the resources in the world and all we need right here in Norman, Oklahoma.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great way to end our conversation, and thank you so much for
Thanks for
spending some
having
time
me
with
here
me today. I appreciate it. And to everybody that's tuning in, thank you for joining us. We appreciate John Argo, candidate for Ward 2, for spending a few minutes with us today on this council candidate conversation with the Chamber. For more information, you can go to the normanchamber.com, and please don't forget to get out and vote on February the 8th. Thanks.
Thank you.